Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard. Thank you for watching today's Canada Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. As we look at the Week 1 precipitation anomalies from the GFS Ensemble model, we see a pattern that's going to keep things near average to slightly below average in terms of precipitation here through the 21st of May across the high production region of the Canadian prairies here. Obviously very active and stormy across the northern U.S. A similar look as we look to week 2, so now May 21st through the 28th, very active across the northern U.S. Part of this, perhaps though, getting into the high production regions here of the southern prairies, if not near average to slightly below average in some areas, but along the front range here in Alberta, certainly going to be rainier than average, and then that it's going to be just a question of how far to the north, potentially across the border from the United States, that some of this very active weather comes over the next week to 10 days as we shift to a volatile pattern across parts of the central U.S. Temperature anomalies here through May 19th, keeping us cooler than average here across the Canadian prairies. If we look at the days 6 through 10, so May 21st through the 24th, we see cooler temperatures again building across the northern U.S., some of those spreading into the southern Canadian prairies here. So near or below average temperatures as we look ahead to the next 6 to 10 days. So a pattern that could trend back towards being active with precipitation, and a pattern that could lean towards being a little bit cooler than average, especially as we get into the days 6 through 10 period. The reason for that, well, we have that pesky trough that has been bothering us over the last couple of weeks, which finally is going to get out of here. A ridge of high pressure sneaks off to the south, perhaps letting some warmer air lift into parts of the eastern region here as we get to the end of the week. But if you see off to the south, we move into a pattern across the U.S., across the Central Plains, where we continue to develop these troughs of low pressure off the western United States. A look like that, keeping things very active, very stormy across the central and northern plains. And again, some of that could lift into or extend into the Canadian prairie region. So that's what we'll be watching, the active pattern off to the south, how much of that impacts us over the next 7 to 10 days. We'll look at the precipitation type forecast here from the European model, and we'll go ahead and just step through over time with this one, showing that we do have a system that's going to be tracking through the area here during the day Wednesday into early Thursday. And this, again, we'll go all the way back to midnight, so early Wednesday morning. We see that low pressure center beginning to develop over Alberta. This tracks off to the east by the time we get to midday on Wednesday, so around the lunch hour. The center of low pressure located here over southern Saskatchewan, but precipitation extending all the way from central Alberta, getting into parts of central and southern Manitoba. So this would be a Wednesday storm system. This tracks out of the area here now Thursday night, getting into Thursday morning. Still seeing some precipitation on Thursday morning across the front range here, southern Alberta, again across parts of the near the U.S. and Canada border here in Saskatchewan, but it's as we get into the end of the week. Friday is when we're watching for this pattern shift across the central United States. We see this big area of low pressure developing here across the central plains, but precipitation extending well off to the north of that, and this is where we could start to pick up some precipitation frequently here in the southern prairies. This continues on. Look, with some colder air coming in on the north side of that, maybe even seeing some snowflakes mix in as we talk about areas here across the southern regions getting close to the border. So maybe some snow here as we get into the weekend. We're not talking about major accumulations, but again, a cold rain and some cold snow. As we start getting into spring, this is just not the kind of weather that we would expect, at this time of year. We're all the way into Sunday night, getting into Monday morning now, still dealing with precipitation again from these regenerating storm systems. This is a look that's going to begin again Friday and last all the way through potentially much of next week. So this is a week-long, if not more, pattern with these storm systems developing here. Widespread severe weather possible across the central and southern plains of the United States. But lifting all the way off to the north and wrapping around that is this cold rain with, again, perhaps some light snow falling in there. So the forecast isn't pretty as we look ahead here. Maybe some breaks in the precipitation midweek. We have that Wednesday storm system. But as we get into Friday and Saturday, again, it's this region here most concerned about, which again is our high production region here, southern Alberta, southern Saskatchewan, and southern Manitoba, unfortunately shifting towards a cool and damp weather pattern over the next 7 to 10 days. Total precipitation from the European model, we'll go ahead here. You see Wednesday's storm system track through. That is this precipitation swath here across the central regions. But then you see the beginnings of this pattern. This loop runs all the way to Friday evening. And we're already starting to see this active pattern set up with showers and storms across the central plains, the northern plains of the United States, extending across the border into the southern prairies here. Again, the end of the week through the weekend and into next week is where we begin that cool and rainy pattern across the Canadian prairies. High temperature forecast here for the next 5 days. Your Tuesday high temps, very nice, very warm, mid-20s across southern Alberta. Back down into the lower 20s to near 20 degrees by the time we get to Wednesday. Thursday, a bit cooler still. Your Friday high temperatures, here we go, shifting to this nasty, chilly, damp weather pattern. By the time we get to Friday, your high temperatures in the single digits to near zero along the front range here. That warmer weather going to be shunt off to the north if you're in the northern areas here, maybe escaping the grips of some of these storm systems. And then as we get into Saturday, your high temperature is very similar. That cooler weather extending across the entire southern region with warmer temps possible off to the north. Pivoting off to the east, Saturday high temperatures here, or I apologize, I meant to start with this week. I got these out of order here. Let's go ahead and jump. We'll go to Wednesday, high temperatures. That warmer weather, again, off to the south, midweek, looking pretty nice across the southern prairies here. We'll also have that precipitation kind of sneaking through this area. Your Friday high temperatures back into the teens across the southern prairies. Friday and then Saturday, those cooler temperatures really starting to work their way into the southern regions with that precipitation chances beginning to move in as well. So pleasant, although a storm system sneaking through Wednesday for your midweek. But then as we get into Friday, Saturday, and beyond, shifting to a cooler and active pattern across especially southern regions of the Canadian prairies. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Thursday morning ag forecast video, and I'll have your next Canadian regional forecast for you midday on Friday. Have a great day.